Yep, there you go. We do have a Sanctuary Star. Nice.
Oh, nice.
Just a piece of heart and 5 rupees to begin with. Not the most impressive, but, well, we'll deal with it. Ooh, we actually have 3 Sanctuary Stars. That's quite the divergence from what I'm used to seeing. That's interesting.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see and sort of compare, see if anything at the beginning here works out for Plasma. Early rupee pull isn't too bad, and a nice bomb drop there too.
Yeah, it looks like Kermit, meanwhile, is setting up for an early Houlihan, while Maligord is doing the standard route of checking Aganim, while Walter just opted to immediately go into the Lost Woods without even bothering with the Aganim cave. So it's some interesting divergence already. Who went up for the first bottle has been found on the Uncle. And on the forest floor. And so that's 2 bottles already, just from completely different locations. So it'll be good for the sick kid check once they reach Kakariko Village. And it's first sword in the Uncle thing too. So going for that standard opening with Hyrule Castle actually paid off pretty well this time.
Yeah, we got that some almost vanilla sword. That French vanilla sword drop there. Very nice.
Yeah, it's pretty lucky. So it gives PlasmaKappa a little bit of a head start, though it probably will be equalized fairly shortly since people rarely leave that location off for long. And to quickly answer the question from chat, Maligord is using the Samus sprite, and Walter Forest, I believe is using the Valera sprite.
Yeah, that would be Valera and Kermit with quote-unquote boy, and Plasma with Maple Queen.
Yeah. And it's expected Kermit will be picking up a bottle and a sword shortly, so he'll be in a similar situation there. He doesn't actually catch the last Aka check, so this will be interesting.
We just got a Power Glove, though, in Blind's house.
Ooh, nice. No bombs as of yet, though, for Walter. The downside of skipping that 3 pull and such, actually, because that was where those bombs came from, wasn't it? Yeah, it looks like Kermit's actually, with his newly found sword, diving straight into the escape. Ooh, and we got the bow over in the well, too.
Interesting, okay.
Yeah, we got a good start here. Probably going to see a very early Eastern Palace play, especially considering it's a crystal.
I feel like bow is one that we constantly see buried pretty deep into most seeds these days, so it's nice to see it early.
Yeah, definitely. It's also very good it's also an indicator of the fact that the logic probably expects you to go to either to the Almost Knights for an actual item, or more likely to go into Panels of Darkness for an item very shortly.
Yeah, for sure. And I didn't see where Maligord picked up the hammer, but they do have the hammer now.
Damn. It's a nice find, actually. And I also missed that. It must have been very recently, so possibly from the bomb hole in a well?
I don't think they had any bombs for that one, but I don't know if they had any bombs before. And check. Oh, Sick Kid. Sick Kid has the hammer.
Oh, the Sick Kid has the hammer. All right. Thank you, chat.
That's a fairly generous hammer spot too. We've got a lot of early, very useful early items here.
They're actually just a moon pull away from being able to check the Dark World now, and being able to complete Panels of Darkness if they so choose, which is crazy. Because that's usually not the dungeon that you can just go in and complete as your first possible dungeon, though I imagine they'll be going for Eastern Palace first. And of course the logic will expect you to have the lamp before the Panels of Darkness, but that's, details. Ooh,
yeah,
that's
of course.
An ice rod? Was that an ice rod in Zelda's cell? That's pretty good. Of course, we don't know if Turtle Rock is a crystal yet, but nevertheless, having that early is always a nice thing. because the ice rods, that's much like bow, is one of those items that can be extremely trolly because it's literally needed for just a single thing in the entire game.
Yeah, and I've heard many people. Maybe it's just pessimism, but I feel like many people see an early ice rod and think, "Oh, I guess I don't have to go to Turtle Rock then." But I guess we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening when they get to the Dark World.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Actually, earlier today I was actually messing around with the seed, and I found a very early ice rod and used it as an indication that I actually had to kill Pendant Trinex, and as it turned out, I actually had to. So you never know, it might work out.
Fair. Well, it's like when silvers drop, right? And you immediately know, okay, well, I'm not going to find the bow until bow is going to be go mode.
In that regard, since we already have the bow, we know the silvers are going to be in some horrible location nobody will ever check. But for now, we've got a little bit of retreading going on, which is understandable. They all took pretty diverging openings, but everybody wants to check Kakariko and generally the Hyrule Castle early. I do personally approve of Kermit's choice to actually fully explore the castle when he found the sword there, as opposed to just leaving immediately. And well, with the ice rod, it might very well pay off for him, but we'll see what the others do. Walter looks like he's going to make use of that bow and immediately go into Eastern Palace, which is also very understandable.
Yeah, there's a lot of options with finding these early items and early weapons. I think the decision to use that sword and jump right into escape makes a lot of sense. But so does using this bow to head over this way.
Yeah, it's
presumably you'll be able to clear this dungeon.
With this combination of items, this seed is actually really open. Ooh, and the flute. That's a super nice find, actually, especially with how early Walter ended up going into this area, because it means he wasted the minimum amount of time traveling around the Light World normally, as opposed to just floating around. Of course, he's going to finish Eastern Palace first. It only makes sense while you're here, but I imagine he'll be freeing the birds very shortly.
It looks like we got nothing from the back of Escape, but another decision that I think makes a lot of sense here. Maligord can now make the decision to go to the front of Escape and clear it out if they want to, or head south Hyrule as they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, you never want to skip the dam and the minimal cave either, because again, those are very high value locations and they're very easy to reach. On that note, PlasmaKappa is actually heading towards the minimal dome cave. They also found the moon pearl over in the drained dam area, so that's a nice find actually, especially at this point. That means you can do the fake flippers thing to actually check the waterfall area if you want to.
And we have our Dark World access.
Yep, that too. That's it's incredible. They could be in the Dark World before 10 minutes have passed if they so choose to be. I imagine they'll stick to a little bit more Light World exploration, because few people want to just delve right in there with 4 hearts and a green veil, but you never know what they'll choose to do.
Yeah, I think you usually want to still stick to your Light World routing, because it is a very efficient route. A lot of items to check pretty quickly. I think the exception might be if you have the mirror and can sort of do some double routing.
Yeah,
as you work your way through Dark World.
It's sad that's such a rare occurrence. If you do get early Dark World access along with the mirror, it allows for some incredibly interesting routing. And let's see what everybody's favorite out of the way location the Ice Rod Cave holds for us. Ooh, the Fire Rod.
Fire Rod, nice.
So we've got both the elemental rods out there already. That's also pretty incredible, actually. Fire Rod, of course, is also the overall more useful one of the two, because it unlocks significantly more than the Ice Rod does.
But yeah, much more useful.
We'll still have to see whether we actually even need Turtle Rock. And in fact, once I notice a map check in the Dark World, I'm going to specifically keep an eye out for that. I probably won't catch everything, but I'm definitely going to keep an eye out on that one, because that's exciting now.
I always miss the map check. I'm always looking at the wrong screen, and they do them so fast.
It looks like we've got a green pendant in Swamp Fellas going by what Sarjarala just told us. So this is potentially a flipperless seat in that regard. Assuming they're lucky.
Yeah, I guess it would just come down to what's on Zora Ledge, and assuming that Swamp doesn't end up holding anything for us, even though it's green pendant.
Yeah. Ooh, and we're going to see a ferry check to see what we get for our bottles here. And the waterfall ferry waters with blue goo. That's actually
bad. Yeah, that's really good. I do wonder if we're in a situation, another situation that I think we all think is true, but who knows how accurate it really is, of these a lot of early progression items, meaning that there's going to be one item tucked away in a trolley spot. Is usually what we all assume is happening. Yeah, I don't know if that would be the case.
That's how it often ends up.
If it is, I'm saying
the difference between a jet seat and a troll seat often comes down to whether you check the appropriate locations first there.
I will say this though: if there is an item tucked away in a trolley spot, probably going to be the red cane.
Yeah, that's pretty likely at this point. I don't know. I personally always have trouble with finding like a single required medallion somewhere out there in the world. And yeah, Kermit actually ended up taking a rather unfortunate death in the mini ballroom cave, but he went back to take revenge on him. Very good on him. Because again, this is not the location you want to skip. I don't think it actually had that much this time, but it's still 5 locations and you want to check. Yeah, Walter looks like gave up on the final Dark Room of Eastern Palace. I'll be happy with the fire art in all likelihoods, but PlasmaKappa is going to have a bit of an advantage there because he can just light a torch in that room and make it significantly easier.
Yeah, the second Dark Room in Eastern, very easy to just take a quick step in, fire the fire rod a couple of times, and bam, the room is lit up for you.
Mm-hmm. And it's also, especially with this low amount of hearts, it's actually a rather nasty Dark Room to navigate in the complete dark, because the Igors do a lot of damage. Looks like Kermit will be our first runner with both the elemental rods. It's good for him. He's also very close to the amount of money for Zora, but it's just a tiny bit short. So he's instead opting to do something else. Let's see where he's going. He's starting at Sanctuary. Wonder if he's he's either going up that mountain or he's going to go into the Dark World, I think. Or he didn't check the back of escape yet, did he? No, he didn't. Okay, that makes sense.
I didn't see what led Maligord to head out of Eastern there.
Yeah, I'm not certain either. Might also be a case of not being comfortable with a dark room without the fire, without any kind of fire source. I don't know.
But going to activate the flute, definitely a good move here.
Yeah, definitely. Like once you have the flute, you pretty much want to activate it as soon as possible because it saves you a lot of time just walking around the overworld.
And it looks like Walt is following as well, also activating the flute. And I'm wondering if we'll see some Dark World now.
That's very possible. They're in a fairly good spot for it, I'd say. And it's they're really close to it. Looks like Kermit might just be heading straight to the Dark World. He hasn't gone to the Eastern Palace area yet, so he hasn't got the flute. He'll probably give us a first Dark World map check in that case. And Lumberjack was in fact checked, Astero. It was just some rupees, I believe. And it does look like Turtle Rock is a pendant. Or crystal, sorry. We've got Pendant, Thieves Town, and Ice Palace, and 5 and 6 in Palace of Darkness and Skullwoods. They're actually in a pretty good spot in that case. And Pendant Ice Palace actually means the flippers might just be hiding in Ganon's tower for a change, which is unusual in the seed.
That could be interesting, yeah. And we have immediate access to Crystals 5 and 6 as well. They're both dungeons are completable, and we were given those items very quickly.
Yeah, though I don't envy anyone who tries to do modular with the current level of equipment they have. It's 4 hearts. Oof, they'll have magic and a fighter sword. That's going to be a nasty fight. It's certainly possible, don't get me wrong, but ooh, I don't know if I personally don't know if I'd risk it.
That's not an easy moth fight by any means.
And it does look like Maligord's stream is frozen, as people are pointing out. I have no idea on whose end it is, but we'll get it sorted out soon. People, sorry about that.
Meanwhile, we've got Plasma going in to clear out Eastern, going to be the first of our featured runners to grab a crystal.
Yep, we found the flippers over in Skullwoods, so that's actually for people who like pedestal suits, that's a really good sign with this particular layout of pendants. But I imagine the chat will love the fact that we found the flippers. And it looked like the only thing we got off the Armor Knights was in fact just the crystal. Not that that's a small item, it's very important.
Looks like Kermit's having a bit of trouble with 4 hearts in Skullwoods, which is completely understandable.
Yeah. Like those Gyptos over there in Greenvale will do 2 hearts of damage to you. So just you can take 2 hits there, and well, there we go. It's like this is what I was talking about earlier about going into the Dark World this early actually being pretty risky because a lot of the enemies hit really hard. Because the game is basically balanced around the assumption that by the time you've done that, you've like done 3 of the dungeons already. So you're at the very minimum, you'll be at like 6-7 hearts already. Well, it looks like we'll be seeing more of Skullwoods on Maligord's side now that his stream is back and running. And that's the big key. We we've got a third flute activation happening on PlasmaKappa's side. A little bit later than the rest because, well, they actually finished off Eastern Palace. And looks like Maligord is just, with this amount of health, opting to just do this the intended vanilla way of getting to this big chest as opposed to bomb jump, which, again, understandable. Bomb jumps with low hearts are also quite risky.
Yeah, especially when you're bomb jumping across too many mole dorms. It's
Yeah.
not a fun situation.
Kermit is also opting to do the same. It's very good. It's very smart decision making to not take the extra risks with this low amount of health. It looks like Maligord is actually opting to go for the back of Skullwoods. I imagine they'll be checking this really annoying to get to a chest. It'll be interesting to see if he opts to actually try Mochila or not.
I don't think Maligord has picked up the fire rod.
Or actually, yeah, it looks like it's. Yeah, actually, think about it. I'm not certain if he went down to the Ice Rod Cave, which helped the fire rod, of course, because, well, rando.
Yeah.
Yeah, just clearing out the Gyptos first. So grab that ferry. There we go. Now it's just a bit of a push. And we've got synced Skullwoods checks. That's pretty unusual, actually.
Oh, but checking that chest, very valuable.
Yep.
We just got our Titan's mitts.
That alone made all the pain worth it. Because we've got really full Darkworld access at this point. Let's see now, actually. What are we missing as far as baseline items go? Missing the Cane of Samaria, the hook shots, and at least one medallion. And of course a second sword. But that's about it, really. We're actually really surprisingly close to being in go mode already for a seed that isn't even half an hour in.
Yeah, there's been so much progression and still a lot open because of that. There's so many dungeons still to even hop into. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get, you know, that cane not actually being too out of the way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Because I'm still personally feeling there's some kind of huge progression over in Palace of Darkness with that early bow, but it'll probably be a while before they're out the way over there, because they're probably going to just make as full a loop as possible throughout the world here.
Also, I don't know if you mentioned it, but we will need at least mirror or hookshot to get to East Death Mountain.
Yeah, correct. You're absolutely correct on that one. Getting there now. Definitely getting there. Yes, and yeah, the mirror especially is actually really important at the moment. What a book, but nobody wants a mirrorless seed. Now we have no idea if the boots will be definitely required or not. Nobody's been in a position to check Desert, and, well, of course, nobody's been in a position to check Ganon's Tower just yet. And it looks like we'll be seeing 6 Teachtown checks now. It's interesting that for how divergent these routes all started, they're all starting to sync up now with everybody opting to go into the Dark World through Kakariko Village, though that flute it was kind of asking for it.
Yeah, I definitely think it makes sense that we're seeing these similar routes right now, especially because there was, like you said, activating that flute, and there's so much over in Village of Outcast and Thieves Town wide open. But I think you are right. I will not be surprised if we find something very valuable over in Pod.
Yeah, like it might just be superstition, but I do often see the case that if you find one of those items that usually is pretty late, very early, it's usually a sign of, okay, you'll need this item to unlock something else. And yeah, the flute was from Sazrala's hut.
And I don't know if we saw that earlier. Boots from Hobo?
I don't think so. I haven't seen a single person dash. I did see somebody fake flipper off to the waterfall, but they skipped the hobo, so it's interesting that the boots are hiding on the hobo. That's a pretty nice find from Maligord.
Yeah, even if those aren't required, that definitely gives a significant advantage for just being able to move around so much faster.
Yeah, sadly, since this is linked to the past and not Metroid, despite it being Samus, there won't be any shine sparking going on. At least I guess we could call the various clips you can do with the boot shine sparking, but sadly we definitely don't allow those for this category of the game.
Just a bomb upgrade on the Zora ledge and not enough rupees to go get ripped off by Zora, so Maligord's going to head out of there.
Just imagine if Zora actually holds something important now. Because one of the things we haven't found too much of is rupees here, so it would be kind of trolly to actually have Zora have anything important.
I could not see what medallion that was. It was even checked twice, and the second time I couldn't tell.
Yeah, I want to say that was Bombos, but I'm not completely certain on that one.
Looks like our tracker is confirming Bombos, though.
And thank you to them. On that note, I'd like to give a quick shout out to both Final Flame and Brisetta, though they've been doing a pretty marvelous job so far.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's very interesting seeing the different routing coming out of all these runners right now. We were just a moment ago talking about how similar what everyone was doing was, but Maligord really decided to sweep up a lot of Overworld.
Yeah, well,
hopping into any dungeons.
Yeah. Walter is actually opting to mostly go for the Dark World Overworld instead, which is also kind of interesting. Being also the only runner that's actually didn't go into Skullwoods enough to pick up the mids here, so that's kind of an interesting divergence. So far, Thieves Town itself hasn't really held too much of interest there, but still got Blind left to go. And if nothing else, it's wait, it's a pendant. Huh.
It is a pendant. Yeah, I was just.
I was about to say, but if nothing else, it's a crystal. Then I was listening to the music that we're hearing from Covid's stream right now. I'm like, wait a minute, that's not the crystal music.
Yeah, I mean, Thieves Town is such a quick dungeon, and it's one that I always hope to see as a crystal. It always sucks when it's a pendant, in my opinion, but. So I definitely understand clearing it out just to get those items.
I also fully understand Kermit making the quick decision to switch to the Cane of Burner just for safety reasons, because this fight can go turn nasty pretty quick. He gets it down pretty well.
And we got a Master Sword off of Blind.
I mean, that is not a bad find, but probably worth the time investment.
Yeah, depending on where our other sword upgrades are tucked away, that could be significant.
Yeah, because this could very well be one of those seats that's actually that has all the sword upgrades hoarded out in Ganon's tower, or possibly in those pendant dungeons you don't want to visit. If the runners are particularly unlucky, or in other words, if Kermit is particularly lucky, this might very well be the only sword upgrade they ever find. It's also a very interesting difference in our runners in who has opted to do the escape and who hasn't, because it's going to actually be really big. Because that is one of those locations that if you do put it off early on, it's probably something you're going to keep putting off for a very long time. And also we have the powder over at the digging game.
Oh, I missed that earlier on. Maligord has done that as well, actually.
Yes, as does Walter. This was actually the first time I noticed it too. As always, commentary doesn't pay attention ever.
We don't know what's happening.
Is a game happening here? There is a game happening here. Wow. No.
I think it's a Mario game of some kind. I'm not sure.
Yeah. God, those runners are kind of just checking out stuff that the others have already done at this point. It's going to pay off pretty well. It's even a bunch more team stand checks, so it's likely that most everybody will be on the Master Sword shortly. And it's interesting to note that Maligord has so far actually managed to completely skip out on having a sword at all.
I was just thinking that. I was looking at him dashing and thought to myself, where is his sword? He never picked it up. He never picked up that.
He hasn't done Thieves' Stand. I don't think he ever went up to the castle at all. And to be fair, the seat so far hasn't absolutely required it, but it's going to make dark rooms in particular, out of these entering Panels of Darkness, a lot trickier if you don't have anything to see by. Because just having your sword out is actually really helpful for that. Yeah, regardless, he's checking out the dungeon. I was actually pretty interested in seeing, because as I said, I'm expecting to be something pretty good here, hiding over here in the Balance of Darkness. Of course, it might be indirectly hiding things, because it is one of our 5-6 crystals along with Skullwoods.
Yeah, and I think we got that bow, hammer, and fire rod.
Yeah, exactly. So it might just be the seed being not hinting at the fact that there's something valuable over in Palace of Darkness itself, but it might just be the seed hinting at us at the Pyramid Fairy. Walter just took it that's fairly deep into Thieves' Town and is just opting to leave it behind. And well, we know that the one thing hiding in there is just a sword upgrade, so it isn't too costly right now to skip that, but
there's still a lot of potential to find that elsewhere, so I think it'll be interesting to see if we do find another sword upgrade somewhere.
Definitely. Because as far as we know, the only two swords are, well, in Uncle's chest and over on Blind, so it might just be that those are the only two swords we'll find. I hope not for the sake of our runners, of course. Ooh, and it looks like PlasmaKappa is using the digging game to leave a message to us.
Yep, Plasma wants to say something to us.
That's it's running a bit short on time. Ooh, and just barely gets the powder.
I was gonna say I think Plasma might have been going for hay. Rather ambitious. I would have gone for high.
Yeah, I've definitely seen a lot of people dig high before. Ooh, we found the hook shot over in Palace of Darkness.
Hook shot in pod. There's that there's that value in pod you were talking about.
Yeah, and that also means that that just opened up East Dead Mountain.
It did.
But just a cane short of technically being, well, a cane and a medallion short of technically being able to do Turtle Rock already.
Yep, and we'll have Tower of Hera access. We have East Darkworld Death Mountain.
And
definitely
like
a nice find.
Looks like Kermit is actually heading off to do our first check of Zora. Will we have a scam today, or will we have actual value? Ooh, the Eater medallion.
That could be important.
That could be extremely important, or it could be a complete rip-off. So this is like Schrodinger's Zora.
Ether? Yeah, it's Schrodinger's Zora. Nice.
I'm currently in a state of quantum imposition on whether that was or wasn't a rip-off based on what the Turtle Rock medallion will turn out to be. Looks like Maligord's finding their way through the Rupee Dog Room.
Yeah, which does remind me that, you know, one item that's being elusive right now that we don't necessarily need is our lamp.
Yeah, so I imagine in between both Palace of Darkness and the Misery Mire being crystals, I imagine our runners would much rather find the lamp than go completely without it, because neither of those are dungeons that are particularly fun to do without the lamp at all.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, with a setup like this, I wouldn't be surprised if we're looking at Turtle Rock holding their lamp. It definitely likes to hide there these days.
Looks like Kermit is finally going to be finding the flute too. And the last runner to actually make it over to the Eastern Palace area. So for runners, he's definitely in the best position to just go in complete Eastern Palace even without the lamp. And I imagine that's what he's going to do. Yep. Yeah, looks like Maligord is opting to just go to Dead Mountain now with the hook shot. Very understandable.
Oh, there's the lamp.
Well, he's going to be happy with that one.
Just after leaving those dark rooms too in pod.
Yeah, well, better to go elsewhere if you're not comfortable with them than just try and find your way in and just get lost for an incredibly long time. Like, sure, certainly he has to backtrack to those areas now, but might save him time. If he'd rather have the lamp, it might save him a little bit of time overall.
And we got blue mail here too, and silvers. This was a very generous paradox cave.
Yep, we even got a shield there. It's probably the least interesting item of all of those, don't get me wrong, but shield is a shield.
Yeah.
Looks like Walter is also opting to just go to Dead Mountain, having the hook shot now. And, well, in between the hook shots and Wait a minute. Walter is our one runner that actually hasn't gone into the deeper part of Skullwood, so they'll only be able to check out the light world bits of that mountain. Still not a bad time investment. Especially since along the way to the Tower of Hera, I'll find the lamps. I'll definitely be able to complete that dungeon.
Yeah, with Hookshot already in hand, you definitely want to also be able to hop into the Dark World when you're over here, but I think this decision definitely makes sense, and we know he's going to find quite a bit of value just in the Light World.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're off to talk about that mountain already. First off, we've got the Super Bunny Cave.
And you know that without Mirror, that's interesting. I might have thought that I might have thought that we would have wanted to clear out Tower of Hera first, but it's easy enough to get back here, and Maligord might be thinking he might be able to find some valuable items for tackling Tower of Hera and Moldorm specifically.
Yeah.
Such as a sword.
Swords is kind of handy.
Although, unless you find quite a few, I would want to bet on hammer instead. We do have a cape, though.
Yeah, and that allows us to check the bumper cave. Doesn't really unlock anything else, because, well, we already had the Master Sword for Aghanim and Kinferna for anything that requires invulnerability, but it's still not bad. The cave has some extra offensive capabilities, and it does look like it's Eater for Totorok, so Sora was in fact absolutely required this suit.
Yep.
So what do you know, not a scam today.
Yeah, but only one of our featured runners has actually been there with enough rupees. So I'm interested if they will be working Zora, the rest will be working Zora checks into their routing, because that could be something that you end up putting off for quite a while.
We actually have a lot of things like that so far in this suit.
I think that was Red Cane. That was Red Cane.
That was the Red Cane. That's actually a rather convenient location for it, or at least it would be if they had Eater and the Mirror already. But well, I guess they'd also want the Fire Knight right now. I think about it.
Yeah, but that does mean we've got a good chance of when Kermit heads up that way, if he gets his hook shot soon, he'll be in position to complete Turtle Rock.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in fact, looking at the items overall, I don't think Kermit has a little bit of an advantage right now, because he's on a very solid footing when it comes to all those progression items compared to everybody else. Because this seed actually has wanted you to be quite thorough in your overworld exploration.
And looks like Walter is making the play to head over into Tower of Hera, and Maligord's retracing their steps to do the same.
Yeah, it does make sense to do it while you're here. Yeah, it looks like Kermit is about to make the first trip up to Dead Mountain after checking the Bonk Rocks here. And yeah, we did find the Quake Medallion in King's Tomb, though. Ooh, there's the mirror.
We just got the mirror in Tower of Hera, but also basement is required.
Yeah, that's an interesting combo. It's at least going to be a bit bit sad for Maligord once he finds the mirror there. So that would have been really convenient for their routing earlier.
And I think with Mirror sitting there, that pretty much confirms that the logic was expecting a double dip into pod to get the hook shot to then go get the lamp.
Yep, definitely. Oh, it looks like Maligord missed the opportunity for a coffee break. Which without a sword is actually rather nasty, but he's got plenty of hearts to actually survive this.
Yeah, that's definitely a tricky situation to end up in.
So with a sword, this isn't too bad. You just hold out your sword and you'll grab most of the tiles, but
if you're wearing
without a sword, this is actually really narrow dodging. And just 20 rupees from the bat, so in that regard, that powder was just a red herring, but it is one of the most convenient items in the game to have, because a lot of the dungeons just give so many healing opportunities with that powder. So nobody's going to say no to finding that.
Yeah, definitely a nice safety item to pick up.
Our swords so far were in the secret passage to Hyrule Castle, also known as the Uncle Passage, and from Blind in Thieves Town.
And we haven't been seeing any others, so Maligord might need to do that soon.
Looks like PlasmaKappa was our first runner on stream to actually make it through the Dark Maze too. Didn't catch if they got anything there, but I imagine our trackers did, and it doesn't look like there was anything of value there. It does look like they are probably going to, yep, they're going to try and just clear the entire dungeon in the dark, it looks like.
And it looks like the second item in Hero was just a piece of heart.
Nah, that's unfortunate. Well, it's a crystal, so you needed to do it sooner or later anyway, so you might as well do it while you're here. Looks like Kermit is actually going to go back to Skullwoods to quickly clear that out.
And Walter's going to hop into Spike Cave.
I mean, it makes sense while you're up here. There's actually a really low amount of health to do on, but yeah, he's fine. He'll be fine. Gonna be a little close on the magic, but he'll be fine. Did find the kind of burner real early too, but just a piece of heart.
And Kermit's going to be our first featured runner to tackle Mothula.
Yeah, I'd personally say Kermit has an advantage right now just due to the sheer amount of progression items he has compared to everybody else. Like, he hasn't made his way up to Dead Mountain yet, but once he does, he'll be able to, well, basically have everything that everybody else has, plus some other stuff on top of that. So currently I'd give him the advantage.
Yeah, I think once he's headed over to Pod and gets that hook shot, he's going to be in position to head up to Death Mountain, clear Tower of Hera, go grab Red Cane.
Wow. I hadn't realized he was still missing that hook shot, so okay, that explains everything. That'll be actually interesting to see whether he wants to even, like, he might be holding off on Paul until he gets the lamp from somewhere. Of course, that's not going to work out this time.
Yeah, unfortunately, Pod is blocking the lamp.
Let's see now. Now we're almost in the so-called no mode, actually. We just need some way of accessing the Desert Palace, and oh right, and we need bombos. But just those two items, and we'll know where everything is that the runners need to finish this seed. He's actually going into Ice Palace, which is a dungeon he can fully clear.
Is a pendant, though. I'm not sure whether or not this will pay off. This could be. This could be significant if it's holding bombos, which we know we need. It could also be, unfortunately, a pretty big time sink.
Oh right, and they did find the mirror in Hera already, so we actually do have to. Yeah, so the one thing we're missing is actually bombos. Wow, that's crazy, actually.
Yeah, this was, you see those early progression starts and kind of think you're going to be struggling to find a specific item. But this is a pretty wide open seed.
Yeah. That's very interesting, though. It's a lot more interesting to watch when they're a little bit more spread out than when they're very linear. So it's also harder to keep track of what's going on in these. And the hook shot was in Palace of Darkness.
Yeah, and as Pyromance was saying, in the big key chest.
Yeah, looks like PlasmaKappa is saving the old man right now. And Maligord and Walter are making use of their newly found lamps to conquer Palace of Darkness. But yeah, the hunt right now is for the Bombos medallion, and well, it being a medallion, it can be. There are only two spots it can't possibly be right now. That's Measuring Mire and Ganon's Tower. So that's not varying. So, like, any play is reasonable at this point. And Ice Palace clear right now? Very reasonable. Could be holding bombos.
Yeah, and I know a lot of runners have sort of been feeling like if you can't seem to find your hook shot, that Ice Palace actually isn't a bad bet to just clear without it, just because of the interesting logic around whether or not hookshot is or isn't required for Ice Palace.
Yeah, it's actually one of the most complicated bits of the logic, how that works. And I've got to be honest, I don't fully understand how it decides whether it can go there or not. So if I go into Ice Palace without hookshot, I'll just full clear the place. Consequences be damned.
Yep. And Turtle Rock is a crystal, yes.
No, the pedestal currently could be possibly anything out there. Now it's rather I mean, it could be the Bombos medallion, but that would be the only possible required item it could be at this point. So if you want pedestal hype, you need to pray for the Bombos medallion being on the pedestal. But we have no way of confirming that right now.
And it's entirely possible that Kermit is betting on that as well, already having cleared a pendant dungeon, and now in a second one.
Yep, and he is just that mirror from Tower of Hera short of actually being able to complete the Swamp Palace as well, so we're actually in a rather good spot in that regard. No, that's just a map. Nobody wants a map. At least not in this mode.
And as always, chat theory crafting the trolliest possible scenarios. Yes, I do believe book on pedestal and bombos on a tablet is entirely possible.
It's certainly possible. I'm going to hope it doesn't happen though. I want to. Like last week, I already ended up doing commentary for a Nightmarish Sea that was like literally everything required. So I'd like to see a quick one for a change. Still nothing of that much interest over in Ice Ballad, sadly. If nothing else, I hope he's going to get an extra sword out of it or something. Possibly the silver arrows, that would also be fun.
Oh, so I think we already have silvers.
Oh yeah, that's very true.
From the Paradox Cave.
Yeah, you are.
The very stacked Paradox Cave.
That's incredible. Yeah, that's unbelievably stacked Paradox Cave. No, in that case, I hope he actually does find a sword upgrade in here. That would be nice.
And Maligord's ended up in an interesting position of clearing out Pod, being able to hop out of there, mirror into Eastern Palace, get that crystal. Now, I wonder if he's going to think to run over to Sahasrahla or not, which... oh, no, sorry, not Sahasrahla. Never mind. The sword was Uncle. That's what he hasn't checked, not Sahasrahla.
Yep.
Never mind.
Yep.
Sahasrahla was Flute.
It's actually really important for Maligord in particular. He checks out the Ice Rod Cave and the entirety of his cave at some point because, well, he is going to need those elemental rods and he's definitely going to need a sword.
Yeah.
Looks like Kermit is having a little bit of trouble with this particular bomb jump. What I personally like doing is setting this up while facing to the left instead, because at that point, if you reach the bottom pixel there, you just have to place the bomb and that's it. That'll send you flying straight in the right direction, no further adjustment needed. Well, if you're doing it facing upwards, you actually need to adjust a little bit right after placing your bomb, which makes it a little bit trickier.
Yeah, I think unfortunately
he's now, though.
No, he was not setting up far enough to the left, unfortunately.
That's a shame. It's probably going to send him elsewhere, though. Hopefully it'll send him into... that looks like he's going in for revenge.
Yeah, with...
this time he...
now that he has a key, he's not actually going to need that bomb jump that he was trying to do to get to those chests. It's just an unfortunate situation where if you find that key when you're far into the dungeon, using it to get to those chests requires restarting it. So you'd have to mirror out and start again unless you can manage to get that bomb jump.
Yeah, and Kermit is, of course, in the position of being a one-runner without the mirror. That's because he needs to go into Palace Docks to get the heat shot first.
Yeah.
And Walter also picked up the fire rod now. That's all. Hopefully send them actually towards in direction of Skullwoods for that Titansmith they're still missing. That's a pretty important item.
Shovel out of desert. Possibly the dig spots holding our bombos.
Maybe. That's the tricky thing about the medallions in particular. They can just be hiding anywhere.
And we have had no pedestal checks because we do not have the book.
Oh no, Kermit. Has got it. Oh no.
Yeah, Kermit's having trouble with the bomb jumps today.
Yeah. It's really unfortunate. It's the way this is set up. Yeah, he's opting to just hit the save and quit button and restart somewhere else, which is the smart decision at this point. He's already spent enough time in a pendant dungeon right now.
Yeah,
he
you know,
want to do something else now.
If he decides to head over to Pod, that the bomb jumps being difficult for him there could end up being quite beneficial.
Hmm. Yeah, looks like he's gonna take the time to buy some potions. Yeah, I don't think he's been in the mire area yet. Yeah, it definitely hasn't been. Walter is still short the money for Zora, and that's really unfortunate. Throughout it, I get to say that's really unfortunate, though. How often Zora doesn't have anything valuable. On this seat, in this particular seat, Zora has the absolutely required Ether medallion for Total Rock.
Yeah, I think we have an interesting comparison here where Kermit is really just needs to go to one location and get that hook shot, and that will set him on the right path. Maligord, we have in sort of an opposite situation of needing to go into quite a few overworld locations that are kind of spread out.
Mm-hmm. At least he got his sword now, and looking at the fact that he's just heading outside, normally I expect he's heading into the castle to at least pick up the ice rod, so that'll be good for him. Allow him to track. That'll actually give him not the lead of swords, but it'll definitely get him in a much better position than he was before. It's also going to be our first runner to check this dark part of his cave. Now, I haven't been keeping track, so I'm not certain if this actually has an item or not.
Yeah, I don't recall either. And I think my main concern for Maligord right now, my main hope is that he picks up both rods before finding Ether, because finding Ether could lead him into Turtle Rock, hoping to find the fire rod there. And if the dungeon is laid out in a certain way that he can get really deep into it, it could be a lot of time spent when he could be able to go in there with everything he needs to finish the dungeon instead.
Yeah, Kermit, it seems, meanwhile, is now making the play he definitely should be making, because he'll be picking up the good shot shortly, and that'll open up things for him incredibly. And I kind of missed what happened to Plasma. I think he took a death to something or another.
Yeah, I missed that as well, but I'm seeing a lot of frustrated sword swings going on in between flute locations.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's actually something very true that's being pointed out in chat right now. Normally, potions aren't something you have to worry about too much, but in this case, a bunch of runners still need 500 rupees to pay Zora for the Ether medallion. So buying potions in their shoes right now is actually much more expensive for progression than it usually is.
Yeah, and again, it's an unusual situation. So I definitely see why the runners have opted not to necessarily head that way, which could help Kermit keep the slight lead he has over the other runners right now,
Mm-hmm.
despite some of that time spent in Ice Palace that didn't really pay off, unfortunately.
That's curious. I'm not certain why that occasionally happens like that in that room if you try to bonk across the gap.
And looks like Kermit is leaving the one chest he needs to check for last. So hopefully he ends up routing back
Yeah,
to that big key chest.
I imagine he'll be going back there. Yeah, this happens sometimes. That happens sometimes with some of the key layouts you can get in the Palace of Darkness where you just can't conveniently check that chest, and I think that's what was happening here, actually.
We've got two runners fighting Mothula at the same time.
Yep. Let's see, we'll finish. We'll get some sync going on the kills time. Yeah, looks like Walter got the kill first, but PlasmaKappa can't be far behind. I believe he might be like one hit away from. There we go.
Hey, you were correct.
It puts them both in a position where they can actually check the Pyramid Ferry. Our first two runners to be able to do so. I think Kermit
and of course
Kermit is thankfully making their way back to the big key chest at this point, and we'll be picking up the hook shot there.
I wouldn't be surprised if after finding that, you might head out of pod. Yep. And now to head off to the mountain and pick up quite a few items that he has been waiting for.
Yeah, this is going to be really, for Kermit in particular, this is going to be really big. I guess at that point it'll be just the Bombo's tablet, Bombo's medallion short of go mode once he's done checking the mountain.
Meanwhile, Maligord has managed to head up to the Zora area with 700 rupees, it looks like. So he's going to check Catfish and probably mirror over to Zora.
Yeah, I hope he does so, because it's going to be really important for him to do so. He does still need to make his way over to the Ice Rod Cave, no.
Yeah,
at least that one is only a short flute away, really.
Yeah, this is that scenario I was talking about, though, where this could prompt heading up to Turtle Rock, which could be a significant detour if Fire Rod isn't holding something important on the right side of T-Rock, and he manages to get really deep into that dungeon without that item.
Yeah, that would be incredibly unfortunate. And it looks like PlasmaKappa is giving a little first check of the Smiths. Granting that's in with the magic path, which is a pretty good choice. Of course, the magic path doesn't actually have anything of value this time around, but you don't know that until you check.
It almost looked like Maligord was heading to Turtle Rock, but he is fluted away. I think realizing, that we never checked South Hyrule, so looks like he's going to have that Fire Rod. Oh, or head into the Dark World.
Yeah, we'll see. Actually, he might be headed into Swamp Palace at this point, actually, which would Well, it might be good. We don't know if if that's the place where Bombos is hiding. I'm pretty certain he did mini Moldom and such earlier, but he just opted to skip the Ice Shroud Cave, which in this case sadly doesn't pay off.
And I definitely understand this decision when you have so many potential item drops in Swamp Palace and you're still looking for the Fire Rod. We just obviously know that Fire Rod isn't there, but always that chance of Bombos dropping or being on the pedestal, as we've discussed.
Yeah, exactly. In Maligord's case, he's also still looking for an extra sword, so who knows, he might be finding one here.
Oh, I would almost love it if we find 2 sword upgrades in here.
Yeah, because at that point, especially if Bombos is hiding out elsewhere, it's very likely that Maligord would be our only runner featured here on stream that has a sword above the Master Sword. But we'll have to see. We just find 300 rupees to begin with. That's where all those rupees have been hiding. Because this suit has been uncharacteristically stingy for a rando suit.
And of course, meanwhile, we're going to have Kermit in position to clear out Tower of Hera and then head into the Dark World and get Red Cane and then head right into Turtle Rock. So I'm curious to see if that's what will end up happening.
Yeah, well, it'll definitely be interesting to see. It's definitely what I think he should do, but whether he'll actually do it is a different matter entirely.
I just want to know where Bombos is, so I want Turtle Rock checked soon.
Yeah, me too. So let's see, what are our possibilities here? Swamp Palace could have it. Turtle Rock could have it. The pedestal could be having Bombos. I believe there might still be at least be one item over in Ice Palace, so that could possibly still be the place for Bombos Medallion 2. And
our tablets, our Ether and Bombos tablets.
Oh yeah,
it could be vanilla.
Could definitely be vanilla. There's still plenty of the world left to check as possible locations for that one final item we're missing for no mode. Yes, and Pyramid Fairy, of course, which is PlasmaKappa is kindly checking for us right now. And for PlasmaKappa's side, I'm actually kind of hoping that the Pyramid Fairy holds 300 rupees in addition to whatever else, so they can combine a catfish into an immediate store buy for that.
We got our mail upgrade and 20 rupees.
The mail upgrade isn't bad, at least. And the boots were hiding on Hobo, and we found another one of 300 rupees in Swamp Palace. Oh dear. I just realized something. Maligord is going to have to do with either a very menu intensive or a very spin intensive fight against Argus here.
Yeah, that is a Fighter Sword Argus. It's a rough situation. But Kermit clears up Tower of Hera and is now heading back to East Death Mountain more likely than not to jump into the Dark World.
Yep. He's gonna be right at the top of those rockets. He could just open it and enter right there. Though, of course, until he finds the Kingdoms of Maria and then invite the shot cave, he won't actually be able to enter the dungeon proper.
At the very least, it
he'll
will be open, though, which is good. And then grab that red cane and come back.
Yeah. I hope he does so. And there we go. We just need a couple more hammer hits, 4 hammer hits on Argus himself. Then Maligord will have finished this lengthy fight. Let's see what Argus holds. Bombs. And the green pendant, so maybe the green pendant is our actual reward here. But Kermit's about to check Cookshot Cave and find the Kingdoms of Maria, and then we'll have to see whether he opts to immediately go into Total Rock, or whether he'll check somewhere else first.
I would imagine he would go right into Turtle Rock, especially you can just clear it out right now.
Mm-hmm. And it pick up the cane, and he's contemplating it. He's gonna check more of that. I don't think he did Spiral.
I think Spiral Cave. Yeah, just gonna check that out quickly, and then
yeah, he's probably hoping to find a tempered sword at the very least before going into Total Rock.
I'm not sure where he's headed right now. I think he might have hopped into Spiral Cave, maybe forgot about needing bombos. Oh, it looks like he's heading over to Pod, but she still does need to clear out.
Yep. Yeah, like I said, he's probably hoping for a better sword for going into Total Rock.
Maybe hoping to find bombos somewhere else as well, so that he could go mode Turtle Rock.
Yeah.
And I believe he has actually picked up the lamp. He's not, I think I just noticed in his item menu.
Yeah, no, the fact that he's heading back to Palace of Darkness right now after opting to leave it without the lamp is a pretty clear indication to me that he has in fact got the lamp now. I'll have to see his menu to confirm, but oh, never mind, there it goes. And yep, he definitely has the lamp, as expected. It looks like Walter is also making their way through towards Argus right now. It's not going to get too much for his trouble, sadly. Maligord, meanwhile, is also now in a position to check Total Rock, having picked up the Ether Medallion and all the other stuff. Except for that fire rod, now I think about it, so...
Yeah, Maligord still doesn't have that fire rod, so he's going to be heading into Turtle Rock. Now, I don't know what the situation with Bombos is, if it's in there, if he'll be able to get it if it's in there, because it could be blocked by fire rod. we'll have to see.
Yeah, we'll have to see. At the very least, it'll give a confident answer to the question of whether or not Bumbos is hiding from us in Total Rock. Unless it's on Trinex, of course. Or if I guess if... Never mind. Actually, it's really unlikely that it gives us the proper answer on it, because it's actually rather likely we'll get Firelord Frothlog when I think about it. Oh well. He's opening up Turtle Rock, so we'll go in. He has checked out the rest of the area, so I don't think he has any other reasons to be up here other than going into Turtle Rock. In fact, thinking about it, I think the only reason he couldn't open up Turtle Rock the first time he was up here was because he didn't have a sword yet.
I don't think he had ether either.
Okay.
He also didn't have a sword. That is correct. He still only has fighter sword, even.
Yeah. At least we'll have to see whether he'll be sidetracked a lot here, or whether it'll be a sort of kind Turtle Rock and just immediately tell him, nope, you need to go back here with the fire rod. And it's 20 rupees in that first chest, so yeah, you definitely need the fire rod to get anywhere in this Turtle Rock.
So then we have the question we're always asking in Rando: where do you decide to go next? Obviously, we know where Maligord needs to go.
Yeah,
What's the
I think he
decision?
might be. I imagine he's going to be tempted by those. No, there's very few dungeons he can actually still complete at this point. He's probably going to hand in his green pendant there. Ooh, just a 20 for that, so yeah, that's I think the only sort of valuable item in the entirety of that Swamp Palace was another bottle. That's really rough. Yeah, I imagine at this point, with the previous decisions being made, that Conan is making his way over to Desert Palace at this point. Yeah, definitely. After that, he'll basically be out of options along Turtle Rock, I'm pretty certain.
Yeah, and I do understand it's always nice to be able to finish Turtle Rock and be ready to hop right into Ganon's Tower, but if Bombos is sitting in there, then it's unfortunately not an option on this seed.
Yeah. Yeah, the only item we haven't seen on the stream that we haven't seen yet to answer a question from chat that we absolutely need to finish this seed is just the Bombos medallion. One of the only locations we haven't seen on stream yet is Turtle Rock. We've only seen the first chest in there, courtesy of Maligord. We've found 20 rupees there. Through that, we know that the fire rod is absolutely required for Turtle Rock. The fire rod, meanwhile, is hiding in the Ice Rod Cave.
Yeah, I will not be surprised if that is where Bombos is sitting.
And we actually have the first person has finished this seed already, actually. Pramy just finished in first place with a time of 1 hour, 24 minutes and 48 seconds. That's impressive.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah, and this, as Chad is just pointing out, this is interesting. Maligord is in Thieves Town, so probably going to pick up that Master Sword, and we haven't seen another sword upgrade anywhere, so it could actually be necessary to pick that up.
Yeah, it's very possible at this point. It's fascinating. So with how much of the world we have actually had checked between our runs, I expect there's another sword upgrade hiding in Ganon's Tower at this point on Turtle Rock. Yeah, it's good to see that Walter is making their way back to Zora at this point, because that Eater medallion is going to be absolutely required. And PlasmaKappa will, well, at least they'll be finding enough money to check Zora here in Swamp Tower, so that's going to be something value out of it at least. And we've also had that second place finish with Chris as won with a time for now 26 minutes and 48 seconds. And if you're talking about Mika Comancho, that would be the dude.
I'm willing to bet that is who Kiku's referring to.
I mean, I was the only one talking for a bit there, so I imagine he was talking about me.
You also have that accent.
Yeah, a little bit of it.
Oh, thanks, Sal.
Yeah, thank you, Zalgo. That's it. That's just to remind you all, it isn't about me or I Basley here. Our real stars of the show are BB, Kermit, all the four, Maligord, and PlasmaKappa. You should give them a follow, really. They're putting on a good show here. I'm sure they're all cool people.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yep. And that's the Master's Fall for Maligord. It's putting him... no, wait, he's actually not... Despite being our last runner to pick up the first sword, he's not the last runner to pick up the Master Sword.
And it looks like Kermit is heading back up Dark Death Mountain up to Turtle Rock. So we're finally going to see if that's where Bombos has been sitting this whole time. I think we're kind of out of other options anyway.
Yeah. It pretty much has to be that Turtle Rock. Maligord will be picking up their fire rods and will probably heading straight back to Turtle Rock with that in hand. Possibly clearing Skullwoods first, I think about it. Well, that's the first 20 rupees, but we'll be seeing the excitement of actual new items here in Turtle Rock shortly.
And we've been a bit caught up in what's happening with Kermit and Maligord, because I think they've had a slight lead for our featured runners, but
Yeah.
I think Walt is also an interesting position where he's set up to pick up Red Cane, and I'm not sure how he ended up not doing it, actually, because he's got that lamp. So he was over in Death Mountain, had...
I think he only just now ended up picking the Titans mid, so he hasn't been to the Dark Worlds part of that mountain, but has been to the rest of it. And I think pretty much the only item of value hiding in Dark Dead Mountain was the Cane of Samaria.
Right, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. And it looks like Plasma has everything needed to complete Turtle Rock, so must have also been up there.
Mm-hmm.
But didn't opt for that move yet. Oh, no Ether. That's why.
No Ether.
Does not have Ether from Zora.
Yeah, until Plasma did this Swamp Palace, were actually really short on money, so they just haven't been in a position to effort check Zora. Nothing yet in Turtle Rock.
Kermit was having a rough time with Chain Chomps there. Definitely good that he pulled out that blue cane though and grabbed the big key.
Yeah, that individual room with the 2 Chain Chomps is probably one of the harder rooms in the game to actually get through cleanly.
Yeah, it is not a kind room.
Those Chain Chomps do so much damage too. Just the red boomerang from the dig spot. I'm not certain if somebody checked that earlier, but I only just noticed it now. It's not very impressive.
Yeah, I don't recall anyone checking that, actually. I think that's the first we've seen of it. Oh, our chat is saying that Maligord does have a fire rod.
I mean, he must have. He's in the back half of Skullwoods.
Right, of course, yeah. I didn't see when he picked that up. Has he had it the whole time and we just didn't realize?
No, I saw him pick it up like 5-10 minutes ago.
Oh, okay.
So it's not been too long.
That I would have been very confused about everything that's happened. But yeah, no, that makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. Now we're getting to the actual value part of Silver Rock in a little bit. It always takes a little bit to pay off in that dungeon. It's kind of like the Palace of Darkness in that regard, that all the goodies are usually hiding in the back.
And I never actually considered Mimic Cave is also possibly where Bombos is sitting.
Yeah,
so we'll find out right now.
I kind of mentally consider this part of Turtle Rock, even if it technically isn't.
Yeah, same.
Anyway, in the meantime, happened a little bit ago now, but we also had a 3rd place finish with Zatox with a time of 1 hour, 27 minutes and 55 seconds. That's it so far. We've had 3 people finish.
Yeah, so we've got 3 finishes, 6 forfeits out of 44 runners in this race.
Yeah. Imagine with how many items were actually hiding in kind of out of the way spots. There's just a lot of people who just forgot about something and then just never really wanted to get back to it.
Yeah, I could definitely see this being a frustrating seed.
And also, if you do go to all of those out of the way locations first, you'd actually be at a pretty low amount of equipment to handle the rest of the game. Yeah, Maligord's also heading back to Turtle Rock at this point. And it looks like Walther is also actually... We haven't really been commenting too much on Walther, but they are in fact also in a really good position overall. Just been kind of in the background. They haven't really been in the lead, but they have been very steadily keeping up with everything else that's been going on. Still missing that sword out of Thieves Town, sadly. And I imagine they'll find a sword in Ganon's Tower, or possibly here on the Laser Bridge at this point.
Oh, we've got the small key we need to finish the dungeon.
Yeah. 3 more chests here.
And there it is.
There it is. And that puts Kermit as a first runner on stream to be in Go mode.
Get your Go modes in chat.
He just needs to finish up Turtle Rock, then finish up Misery Maya, and then he'll be off to Ganon's Tower. Walther and Maligord are actually pretty hot on his heels, being in a very similar position. Walther having the odd situation of not being in Go mode with that bomb boss medallion due to the lack of swords, but I imagine they'll be just counting on the fact of finding a sword somewhere along the way to Ganon. No, we just had a 4th and 5th place finisher happen very close to each other, actually. We've got Ink Nun finishing in 4th place with 1 hour, 36 minutes and 44 seconds, and Gerdo finishing 4 seconds later in 5th place. So there you go. So that's how close it can be sometimes. Oh, we also just had Gemini finish in the 6th place with a time of 1 hour, 37 minutes and 39 seconds.
Kermit's in the understandable, tricky situation of having to use hammer on Trinix, which can be tough, especially with that ice head. It decided to launch some ice onto the floor pretty quickly.
Yeah.
It was actually a lot. You usually have a few seconds more of wiggle room before it does that, but this time it
wasn't being cooperative. And thankfully he's done with that phase now, so now he just needs to finish off the boss. Ooh, he needs to be careful. Does he have another potion?
I don't think he does. I think he's debating right now what safety he has available to him. Can only get so much out of the cape, though, with regular magic.
Yeah, I'd just continue using sword slashes at this point. It's a lot safer than the hammer, even if it takes more hits. Ooh, this is really close, actually. You can do it now. He can do it. I believe in him. I think he just needs one more hammer swing.
No, looks like one more. One more.
You can do it, Kermit. Oh,
done.
Oof.
The clutch Trinix kill.
Yeah, good job to him. I'm impressed. PlasmaKappa appears to be digging ice powers for looking for either Ether or Bombos, which sadly isn't going to give much of anything. In fact, they're in a really good position for checking the pedestal after they've done this, and it wouldn't surprise me to see them actually do so. Sadly, that's not going to give a progression item at this point, because we know where all of those are. Yeah, and Kermit is making the very smart decision to restock on some extra potions. Because in all likelihood, the stuff he has right now, that's what he's gonna have to finish the game with.
Now, having Mire as your last dungeon can be a positive, can also be a negative. Sometimes it's very kind and it's a very quick route to go through Mire. Sometimes Big Key is in the vanilla chest.
Yeah.
The two situations: vanilla chest or Mire is nice to us.
Yeah. Gonna have to see how this Mire is feeling. Yeah, looks like the other two chests over in the laser bridge didn't hold much of value, so Kermit didn't lose anything by skipping those. And... oh. I shouldn't have said anything, should I? I was about to say, and Maligord's in go mode, and then that happened. Classic commentator scores.
Not quite yet. Almost. And, Walt is about to be in not quite go mode. It's very interesting. Walt's go mode item is going to be the Master Sword.
Yeah,
at this point.
The only sword upgrade we know of that exists is on blind, so you'd have to go all the way to Retief's Town to get it. Of course, that mushroom he got just now might be holding that other sword upgrade.
I do wonder though if not having a sword upgrade but finding bombos will prompt Walt to full clear Mire regardless of key locations in hopes of finding a sword there.
Because it does look, looking at Kermit's screen, it does look like there was a pretty early Big Key.
Yeah, I was just thinking that too. I was like, that must have been really early. I blinked, and apparently he's now finishing up the dungeon.
Yeah, I'm not certain whether it was the spike room or the bridge, but it must have been one of those two, looking at how far he's gotten in so little time. And since somebody in chat is asking, we are currently at 8 people who have finished with the seed. And our most recent two finishers being Machinax in 7th place with a time of 1 hour 40 minutes and 52 seconds, and Leo Dolphin in 8th place with a time of 1 hour 41 minutes and 17 seconds. And it was the bridge that held the Big Key. Thank you, JMJ 3000. And Vitrius is down. At this point, our chat will magically start filling with all kinds of numbers as people start guessing where the Big Key in Ganon's tower could be hiding. For those less informed, the Big Key in Ganon's tower could be hiding anywhere from chest number 1 through 22 in there. Those are the 22 chests in the basement that could possibly holding the Big Key. You could also possibly just guess an actual location. Everybody always loves the term in that regard. Personally,
where do you think it'll be?
Personally, I'm going to just go with the number that people have accused me of stealing, number 8, because that's a good spot for it. I like it being in the 8 chest. It's like medium deep.
I'm gonna say that we've got it in Bob's chest today.
Those are not bad. Of course, the actual real question that you always have to wonder is, will Bob live or will Bob not be here anymore? Looks like PlasmaKappa will in fact be making their way to Zora with all the money they got out of Swamp Palace after finishing Ice Palace. They'll find the Ether Medallion, and that'll probably send them straight into Turtle Rock, because I don't think they've got much else left in the world.
Yeah, no, just Turtle Rock, Mire, and Ice Palace, so they'll definitely be on their way there next. Just some slashes at Zora out of frustration. Oh, and a Quake.
Yeah. Yeah, I can understand being frustrated after having checked basically the entire world, hoping to get that one of those medallions and then finding them in a location that was technically available so very early. Yeah, it does look like we've got nearly Sigmaya opening here. Oh, no, wait. I think Walther might just barely be short a little bit of magic to be able to open up
Looks like it.
Maya. That's really unfortunate.
A lot of rupees, though, can go fill up on some potions. Might not be a bad thing in general.
It's time to start counting. 1, the Bucknet. 2, a Smoky. And he's heading back upstairs, so the torch will be number 3. This is the most important part of our lives. People will Bob die. And, oh no, it's a key.
Uh-oh.
You can say goodbye to Bob. Goodbye, Bob. You didn't get a chance to shine today.
But maybe his chest will, and I'll be correct about where the big key is.
And number 4, the Mirror Shield. Number 5, a Piece of Heart. Number 6, the book.
Finding all of those, just those few items that we didn't manage to find in our full clear of this game.
Yeah, it's typical, isn't it? Number 7 was a small key. So we're up to the number I called earlier, number 8. Yeah, just an arrow upgrade.
Just 10 arrows.
Or 10 arrows, was it? Just 10 arrows?
Yeah, I think it was sometimes. Yeah.
Now, of course, Kermit could opt to leave Ganon's tower and check what's on the pedestal with that book. I'm not certain why he would choose to do so, barring an incredible desire to just satiate the urges of chat, but he could do so.
Hey, there's another sword in chest number 9.
Yeah, that is really good news for Walther, by the way.
Yes, very good news for Walt.
Walther is in fact going to have to make the interesting decision now of, am I going to go mode Maya, or am I going to check for other items here?
You know, and I do wonder if you're running this and you've seen...
And there's the big key.
Oh, what was that? That was 10?
Yeah, I think that was just number 10. That particular location also definitely 100% guarantees Walther will be finding the Master Sword along the way to finding the big key, so that's really good.
Yeah, that's definitely good. And yeah, like I was going to say, I think when you're in the situation Walt's in, where you're in a race where you've seen some people finish under an hour 30, I think it's safe to assume that, you know, Meyer, you don't have to check. I can see making the decision to say, you know what, Meyer gave me the big key, I'm just going to go. I'm assuming I'm going to find my sword somewhere. And yes, that was indeed chest 10 with the route that Kermit took. Randomizer room would be giving you 10, 11, 12, and 13. Bob's chest would be 14.
Yeah. With the route we often see people take, where if they find a smoky on the right side, they opt to check the first 4 chests on the right side. It would have been number 14. And it's probably going to be number 14 for at least one runner on the stream because of that. Well, it's Kermit, meanwhile, is just making their way through the gauntlet pretty well. One of the gear horsehead guys there was trying to be a little bit uncooperative, but he wasn't expecting that dash. It was actually a pretty good dash, too.
Yeah, we got Maligord's heading up to Ganon's tower now, and Walt will probably be following along shortly, just picking up his 7th crystal. Wait, has he not finished? He finished Turtle Rock, right?
I'm pretty certain. I can't imagine skipping out on Turtle Rock, especially. He is missing a crystal.
He didn't finish Turtle Rock while he was there. He got Bombos and left.
That's interesting. He must be wondering about the sword, but unless he's going to opt to do Thieves Town now, I don't think there's any other swords out there.
Lack of magic apparently was the problem. Kept running out of magic on Trinex, which is a frustrating situation for sure.
That is a frustrating situation. Yeah, that's definitely good reason to just leave and do something else and buy some potions. Seeing those wizard rooms always reminds me of playing this game casually before I got into Rando. And never quite realizing just how good the Cane of Samaria is for clearing those.
Oh, and it looks like Maligord also had the same situation occur, so also needs to clear Turtle Rock before heading to G Tower.
That's unfortunate. So it's also really understandable. Hammer Trinex it's actually quite rough, especially if there's an early if the ice head decides to be really uncooperative and create ice really early. It's gonna be really tricky to land those hammer heads.
Yeah, and Walt was even in the situation of having fighter sword, and so couldn't lean back at all onto at least using master sword if hammer wasn't quite working out.
Yeah.
So Walt's only option was hammer. Of course, he's still going to be in that situation now, so we'll see how that goes. But I think he did stock up on potions.
Yeah, that's a good choice. Actually, not certain if it was a poke or a slap. Oh, looks like it was a poke, so we've got a very angry... Ooh, that was a nice spin to finish.
Yeah, very nice.
And the last chest in Ganon's tower contains a heart container. Yeah, nice double to start off that Aghanim fight there. This one? Oh, that was an unfortunate blue ball. And just a single hit there. We're up to 4 hits on Aghanim now. Just 2 more to go.
Ooh, knocked away by the blue ball again. This is a very nice setup, though. Very,
Yeah.
very generous end to that fight.
Yeah, PlasmaKappa had the unfortunate issue of being blocked by a dead rock there. Those things always end up in the worst position somehow.
I mean, well, we see Maligord is actually opting to use that Master Sword. Has already set up to switch over to a green potion. Oh, but going to go for blue because this health dropped down quite a bit there.
It's very good choice. And yeah, with in between having 2 full magic refills, it's probably just easier for him to just not bother with all the extra manualing and such that you need to do with hand hits.
Yeah, absolutely.
We can trigger phase 2. Yeah. Oh well. Very good use of the cape, actually. But the cape here should allow him to just go through this phase in one cycle, and yep, there we go. And that green potion is very handy too. Slash Ganon 4 times during this particular phase, get into the final phase, and then in between having a Tempered Sword and Silver Arrows, we should be seeing a finish fairly shortly.
And meanwhile, Maligord. Have I said Maligord once already now? Because I just realized that's what my brain wants to read.
You said it a couple of times, but I didn't want to point it out. It felt rude.
My apologies to everyone. Maligord is now heading into G Tower. I'm glad I caught that eventually because my brain does not read that as Maligord.
Yeah, no, don't worry about it. And just 2 more shots to go. There we go. Ding dong, the pig is dead.
And that's GG for Kermit.
I'm gonna ask if he's interested in coming in here for a couple questions.
Yep, absolutely. And Kermit finishes with an SRL time of 1 hour, 57 minutes, and 18 seconds. First of our featured runners to finish this race today.
Yeah, Maligord, meanwhile, is picking up all those progression items that we didn't see prior to G2. It's allowing us to nearly fill up the tracker.
And Maligord is heading towards that big key, but also a sword upgrade on the way. Walt is about to be following in that path. I looked away for a second and Walt had beaten Trinex apparently. So well done there.
Yeah. It looks like we've got a pretty close race here for second through 4th place finish on stream. Also, since apparently somebody really wants it, let me just scroll up a bit. Zillion has finished in 16th place with a time of 1 hour, 54 minutes and 56 seconds. There you go. On that note, we're actually up to 22 people finishing in total already. That would make that 23.
Yeah, and if you haven't already, if you guys have enjoyed this race, be sure to give our runners a follow. Very kind of them to let us feature them today and putting on a very good show for us in a very interesting seed.
Yeah.
One that arguably quite generous, a fast seed in a lot of ways, but also tricky with its overworld items in single item location.
It was very atypical seeds compared to what you usually see. Because usually all that progression is hiding in dungeons, but in this particular case, a very high amount of it was actually over on the overworld.
Yeah, I definitely think it's definitely out of the ordinary to be finding things like Fire Rod in Ice Cave and Ether at Zora, and all of this being required. It's very, very out of the ordinary.
Yeah. Regardless, we're joined by BBB Kermit.
Hello.
GG, Kermit.
Good game. So, how did you feel about this particular seed?
Yeah, the beginning was pretty awful. I don't know if you've seen how many times I died in Skullwood.
Well, we did.
Yeah.
You kept going strong. You did eventually get rewarded with a Titan Smith for your troubles in there.
Yeah, I was so glad that there was something. Yeah, the seed was pretty good for me, I guess. Like, if I didn't die so many times and like didn't went Ice Palace, this could have been a really good time.
Yeah,
but I'm still happy with the run. So.
Yeah, for sure. I think the main thing we saw was when you were sort of looking for that hook shot, or maybe not necessarily knew that's what you were looking for, but that hook shot was waiting over in pod. Was there a thought process, I guess, in putting pod off versus, say, jumping into Ice Palace? What was your plotting for that?
Generally, I've been rewarded by going Ice Palace really early in the last few races, so I thought, like, why not? It was pretty stupid in the end, but
no, I mean it makes sense. We were just saying how this seed was different. It was very different from what I think we're all used to seeing recently.
Yeah, that's true.
There was so many progression items hiding on the overworld.
Yeah, and I feel like I found them pretty early. Like, that was my saving point.
Yeah, I believe I want to say off a runners on stream, you definitely had the advantage in that regard for the longest time.
Yeah, I think for our featured runners, you spent the majority of this race in a significant lead, and then I mean it shows you were the first of our featured runners to finish. So.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, we have WaltherIV. I don't know if you're supposed to say it as a number or not, but there we go. Maligord, which I will say properly, and PlasmaKappa are still running. Two of them in G Tower right now.
Oh, sweet. I can't believe I got 19th place with that terrible start. Wow.
It just goes to show. Just because you have a terrible start doesn't mean everything is decided.
That's true, that's true.
Yeah, this was also just an interesting seed in all of that overworld progression and also a very generous start early on, which I think was interesting. We saw very similar routes actually happening early on, despite the fact that so much was open with the hammer and the glove and the moon pearl all being right away.
It was interesting that the all the stuff for Dark World Access was actually available before even 10 minutes had passed in the seed, which is incredibly early.
too early for me, I guess.
Yeah, that's... Yeah, because basically anything in the Dark World will kill you in 2 hits with how early you went in there, but you did pretty well.
Thanks.
Yeah, there's any other thoughts on this seed that you would like to share?
I'm not really sure.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
We're watching the other 3 wrap up here. You're welcome to stick around if you want and chat with us while we do.
Sure.
Yeah, Maligord is fighting Aghanim 2 at the moment. It's at 2-1-1-0 as his hit so far. And there he goes. He's off to fight the Ganon. He also has the Tempered Sword. It's interesting, actually, that Walther 4 is still on the Master Sword. They are the only one of the runners on stream that ended up not doing Thieves Town at all. At least not, they never killed Blinds. So they just never got that sword. We don't know where the 4th sword is actually hiding. I'm imagining it's somewhere deeper in Ganon's tower, all things considered, but...
Yeah, this seed really tucked the sword upgrades away.
Yeah.
But excited to see some Master Sword Ganon happening in a moment, though.
Yeah, all those spins. Pretty rough, actually. It's pretty rough, but definitely doable.
And at least we found those early silvers. Or I guess not early; they were behind the hook shot, but silvers were laid out in a very nice spot.
They were. You definitely wouldn't miss the silvers in this suit. That's always nice. Thus, especially with the Master Sword, it does help make the final phase in particular dramatically quicker and easier. Yeah, Maligord is just playing a very safe finish here on Ganon. It's very understandable. No idea what the potion positions are at this point, but looking at how things are going, I imagine they're not in too good spot there. I've still got 1 green and 1 red, so yeah, very wisely opted to use the red potion, because with Blue Mill he's actually 1 hit, he was at 2.5 hearts, he was actually 1 fire bat away from just dying, so don't want that to happen.
And Saberwolf is confirming that there was a sword upgrade on the right side of G Tower basement.
So PlasmaKappa will be our 1 run stream, likely finishing with the Butter Sword, or the Golden Sword as it's more properly known. I do believe it's 1 more arrow. 2 more arrows, okay. He's almost there. Needs to land that 1 final hit on Ganon. And there we go.
That is GG for Maligord. As Walt is about to hop into the Ganon fight with just the Master Sword, and Plasma is on his way to the Big Key and the Butter Sword.
Yep. And it's actually kind of unfortunate for Walther that they didn't opt to do the right side, because that would make this a lot easier, but... Ooh.
And Maligord finishes with an official SRL time of 2 hours, 9 minutes, and 3 seconds.
What did the others struggle to find during the run? Like, was there something specific, or?
Maligord was late to get Fire Rod, I think was the one. So that
Yeah,
obviously was
Maligord was
blocking
really
bombos.
late. Yeah, Maligord was late on both the elemental rods. Walter, I want to say mostly had issues finding swords.
Yeah,
As
yeah. Walt
evidenced
just
by the fact that it's still in the Master Sword. And PlasmaKappa to basically explore the entire world before heading back to Zora to get the Ether Medallion.
Yeah, Ether was an interesting one too, being on Zora. I think actually all the
medallions were somewhere well, two of the medallions were out in the Overworld.
yeah, I
Bombos
think
obviously
Kermit,
wasn't.
you were the only one to grab Ether fairly early on. I want to say everyone else did not have rupees for it, so ended up holding off on Zora until a lot later in the run.
Mm-hmm.
God bless Houlihan Room.
Yeah. Yeah, most of our runners actually didn't get the money for Zora until they did Swamp Palace, which was where most of the 300 rupee drops were hiding this time around.
Also, Maligord is in here with us. GG.
And if you're saying something, it's not coming true.
Could not hear you there. I heard static.
Yeah, sadly we're not actually hearing you, so we'll have to get that checked out. If you can't figure out how to fix it, you could always just join the speed gaming chat and talk to people there, I guess.
And Walt just went to refill on some potions before heading back to the Ganon fight. Pretty reasonable. Was having a hard time there getting hit by the fire bats.
Yeah, doing that fight with the Master Swords is pretty rough.
It looks like he also placed his portal up on top of the castle, which is a bit of an unfortunate spot.
Yeah, well, it's just a small little run through here.
And that's interesting. Oh, hello.
Hello.
Hey, fine. We can hear you now. It's a little quiet, but I can hear you. GG.
Thank you. How'd everyone else do?
Well, one thing that you already pointed out yourself, and you probably expected, is that they all definitely found the sword a little bit earlier than you did.
I'm sure everyone in this race had their swords a lot earlier than me.
Yeah.
I got the 3 items for Dark World. I checked a couple more locations and then left without going to escape. And there were no swords except escape.
Yeah, no, that's understand. With the items you were getting, the routing you took was actually really understandable. It just didn't quite work out.
Yeah, and despite not having found that sword, the not having the sword didn't seem to really slow you down significantly as far as checking item locations and clearing things out. I think it came down to other items that made the difference in the run. Sword didn't seem to be the significant one, to be honest.
Yeah.
No, it was the medallions.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the medallions, and you were also comparatively quite late on finding the fire and ice rods compared to the other runners.
Yeah, I was very mad at myself for not going to Ice Rock Cave, but no, with the sword, the only reason I went looking for one, I've done swordless runs on my own, so I was okay with that. I just knew I needed it for
Yeah. Yeah, you needed it for Skullwatch, you needed to use the medallions, and of course you need the Master Sword to defeat Ganon, so going entirely swordless is sadly not an option. It's not in a regular seat like this.
Right, you can't go entirely swordless, but I was starting to get to the point, I had 3 crystals, and get to the point where Skullwoods was going to come up as soon as I got that fire rod to get the sword with it, so.
Aside from that, though, very well done. Do you have other thoughts on the seed? Other things that stood out to you?
I thought it was a little bit trolly, just because they give you that stuff early. Go to the dark world, but there was 2 or 3 things still in the light world that you had to go back for or check. So a little trolly there, but beyond that, it wasn't bad.
From that perspective, I can definitely see that. Like most of our other runners opted to check a lot more of the light world before diving into the dark world, so they weren't quite as trolled by that. So considering you finished second place on stream, that actually didn't cost you that much.
Yeah, I think what cost me the most was that first dip into T-Rock. I was expecting to get either a key or fire rod in there to keep going, but it was
that definitely,
nothing, and then I had to step back and like wait a minute.
Yeah, no, that definitely ate up a bunch of time.
And it looks like Walt is gonna check something else out. He's having a bit of trouble with Ganon right now, especially because of only having that Master Sword, having only found one of the sword upgrades in G Tower.
It's also Walter is also in the unfortunate position at this point of basically being out of rupees. So if he just used a bunch of his potions, he can't really restock. If he's trying to buy the big bomb now, he actually doesn't have the money for that either. So that's incredibly unfortunate on his part, actually.
So, there were 2 sword upgrades in Ganon's tower?
Yeah.
Yeah, one right side and then the one on the way to the big key. So PlasmaKappa, who is featured right now and currently on Aghanim, actually has Butter Sword. Whereas Walt only found that first early sword and then the one on the way to the big key. So he's working with Master Sword right now.
Yeah. Opting to farm some rupees in the most efficient spot to do so, and just buying, probably going to restock on some blue potions that way.
Yeah, you think doing Masters with Ganon, the toughest part is phase 4. But it's really the first 2 that avoid the bats.
I think he's hoping that there will be a sword upgrade at Pyramid Fairy, so he's grabbing the big bomb.
Yeah.
I definitely agree. I think that that second phase is that second phase of the Ganon fight is rough. I think regardless of what you have on you, except for maybe Butter Sword, is the best thing because you can make it go by only dealing with 1 round of fire bats. But it's a tough one.
Yeah. Can occasionally get lucky with Ganon's positioning if he's up against the wall where you can just keep spinning, but that does require him to be in either the top right or top left corners. Red Mill will help a little bit, at least, with doing the Ganon fight. Also making a good choice of quickly checking what the fairy will actually fill bottles with. If Walter is lucky, this will just be blue potions. It's fairies.
I think it might have been fairies. Also good.
It's also pretty good. Forgot this PlasmaKappa just finished as well. 2 hours and 19 minutes and 25 seconds.
Definitely GG for Plasma, and kind of a surprise for us, to be honest. Walter was definitely in the lead, but the different swords ended up making a big difference here.
Yeah, the Master Sword Ganon fight is significantly more difficult than the Butter Sword Ganon fight is.
Maybe he doesn't know how to MS Ganon.
Yeah. Looks like I think Walther might be making their way back into GT in the hopes of finding another sword there, which is a pretty good call, actually.
Yeah, we do know that he will actually find one, so it's definitely going to be a good move.
And we are also joined by PlasmaKappa.
Hello.
GG.
GG.
Thank you.
So, how did you feel about this particular seed?
Zora, why?
Yeah, that's that. I figured that about summed it up for you.
That's what I mean. I found the moon pearl, and when I have the moon pearl, I fake flip her to the waterfall instead of Hobo. That was not the correct decision.
Yeah. Because the hobo actually had the boots, and well, Zora was really important, but at that point, it was also just that one location that was just kind of out of the way, and why would you want to go back there?
Oh, of course. I wanted to rat it in with everything else, but I just never had 500 rupees.
Yeah. Yeah, this seed was actually really stingy on the rupees compared to usual.
I think there were like 2 of them in Swamp. I
Yep.
should know, I went through all of it. Also, I did not know you could mirror in such a way that you couldn't get back into the warp zone.
Yeah, that's just barely possible sometimes. It's really annoying.
That's fairly magical. Oh, I'm sure I'll be fine. I get out. Oh, it's not fine. It's very much not fine.
This is definitely not fine.
Yeah.
Other
But
than
yeah,
that,
that's
I
eating.
like them. Yep.
Yeah, that eating medallion was definitely the worst item to find for you, sadly.
Yes. And that sums it up. I don't think anything else was terribly wrong.
No, everything else looked like it went pretty okay. It's just finding that eating medallion ended up costing you a pretty high amount of time. That's how it goes.
And interestingly, for our featured runners, it was down to you and Walter running, and you were actually behind, but Walter only has Master Sword and has struggled on the Ganon fight twice now and is now looking for another sword. So the picking up all of those swords ended up making the difference for you as far as that final run between the two of you.
Ah, yes. Interesting. I was like, nothing in blind. Oh wait, there's a sword. Never mind, it was fine.
Yep.
Sword's kind of important.
Yeah, swords actually
Yes,
are
it is.
really important. Anyway, you'll have to excuse me for a little bit. I've got something else I need to take care of real quick. I'll be back in a couple minutes.
No worries. But yeah, and thanks to all 3 of you for coming by and chatting with us a bit. If anybody have any other thoughts about the seed, feel free to share them. We're just gonna be watching Walt finish up here. He's looking for another sword upgrade, I think, in G Tower, and going to find one eventually, but he's gone left side first, so he's gonna have to go down the right side.
Yep.
Do you have any tips for us to refine our play?
Oh goodness me!
Yeah, why not?
Hmm. I feel like I'm in no position to be necessarily critiquing others playing. I would say this seed, as we were sort of saying earlier, was interesting in that it did a lot of stuff that we just don't see really. So I think this was counter to all of our expectations from seeds these days.
Yeah. Why was my ether not in the pendant dungeon?
Yeah, just a lot of progression in Light World Overworld. And I think that might be what it came down to for this one, was just, if not necessarily not heading over to Ice Rod Cave, or not having enough rubies for Zora. That's a tricky situation though. That's one that you don't always anticipate, and that was a rough one on this seed. I think it's pretty common to head over there and not have enough rupees and then just leave Zora for a while and it not mattering. We don't see a lot of useful stuff coming out of Zora.
Walther found half magic in Tile Room, so he's going to have a pretty easy Ganon fight once he finds it.
Yep, which he's on his way to.
Oh man.
Yeah, I heard someone in chat mentioned half magic was sitting in Tile Room a little while ago.
Yeah, that's certainly a spot for half magic. So I'm back. Sorry about that.
Welcome back.
Yep.
But Walther is just about to find that third sword, which will make the Ganon fight a lot easier for him. Just needs to check this one chest. There we go.
There's that tempered sword.
Clearly a little frustrated there. But, well, Ganon fight should be relatively simple at this point. In between the tempered sword and those fairies in a bottle they got off of the pyramid fairy, I should be in a good spot now. And I hope I did just horribly curse them by actually saying that.
Thinking about all the two swords in Ganon's Tower, half magic there was the red tunic was in Pyramid Fairy. This game, they wanted you to work for it.
Yeah, the red tunic was at the pyramid fairy.
Yeah, even Bugnet was sitting in G Tower as well, so it really hid the safety items away, but gave you the progression very quickly. Yeah. And if you were, depending on the route you took, you could have been in a very fast go mode without any protection, really, without any weapons or armor.
Yeah, the only relief there was having the powder off of the digging game.
Yeah, that's why we saw one or two get done, and then there was a big gap between like third and fourth place.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I think a lot of the positioning in this seed was essentially decided by A, where you're diligent and checking those overworld spots in the light world, and B, how early did you go into Turtle Rock? Those two things combined ended up with some people finishing quite quickly.
I think pod dark rooms might have been a little bit of a smaller thing, but something that could have also been significant.
Yeah, that could definitely have saved some time. Yeah.
Just not double dipping it,
I was not moving there for a second because I was looking up a map, the maze.
No, it's
Take less time.
Better to just leave it off. Like, just go with the knowledge that the logic never requires to actually do the dark room. So if you're not comfortable with them, it's probably quicker to just go and find that lamp than it is to just get stuck in there forever.
Yeah, probably, but given where the lamp was, worked out.
Yeah, that lamp was actually really conveniently located, and it was like along with a whole bunch of other progression items.
Yeah, but the hook shot was in the vanilla big key spot. So I got that item right away. I could then clear out East TM.
The thing about a lot of the dark rooms is those dark rooms will have a lamp somewhere. So if you know just where to shoot your fire rod, if you have the fire rod, you can get through those dark rooms.
Yeah, for sure. And that's going to be GG for Walt as
Yep,
well.
He's also finished the Ganon fight. Getting that tempered sword made a lot of difference there. Good game to him.
Good game.
Let me just check something real quick. Okay, we're a little bit over schedule, but there's also nothing else planned, so I'm gonna try to ask Walter if he wants to come in for an interview.
Yeah, absolutely.
Alright, guys, I'm gonna cut out. Key sanity tonight at 7. I should be.
Yeah.
We gotta get in and shit.
Yeah,
GG,
thanks for coming.
Maligord.
Thanks for coming in for a little bit, Maligord. GG.
My key sanity seeds have been trolling me a lot lately, so I gotta get in good shape for that. But have a good night, guys.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
There he is.
Sadly, I'm pissed that he's there we go. Hello.
Walt, GG.
GG
Yeah,
on finishing
thanks.
that.
Yeah, I never tried Ganon with only Master Sword before, and now I realize why I haven't.
Yeah, that is quite tricky, isn't it?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know how to do it, I just never tried it. I thought it probably easier than it sounds, but no, it's not easier than it sounds.
Yeah, it definitely takes a bit of practice. The second phase in particular, you're kind of trying to sword spin off of him and away from the fire. It's
Yeah.
not as easy as one might think, but I think from what we saw, you're definitely on your way to it. I think you'll have it before you know it.
Yeah. Yeah, because from what I was reading from people saying this was the first official race you joined.
Yeah, I joined the race yesterday, but my cat turned off my PC, so I had to forfeit.
Oh no!
Well, you did. All things considered, you did really well. Actually, like you were keeping up pretty well with all the people featured on Restream here. It's just sadly that the Masters with Ganon fight turned out a little bit tougher than you were expecting.
Yeah, I felt it was I did a pretty bad race, but at least I'm glad I finished.
Yeah, I mean, you finished, and you also weren't last. So
that was actually my goal this race, not be last.
Well, you succeeded.
And for our runners that were featured, you were very close with PlasmaKappa. and actually a little bit ahead, but it was the sword difference ended up doing it for you. Sort of dying with Master Sword Ganon, and PlasmaKappa had Butter Sword going in, so that ended up spelling the difference there. But you were definitely, it was a very close race at the end there between the two of you until that happened.
Yeah, I thought about full clearing Ganon's basement, but I just took the chance of finding a sword on the way up.
Yeah, but sadly the other sword was hiding on the right side, and that's just the spot you didn't get to, not with the route you ended up taking.
Yeah, I guess I'm probably the only one who got half magic though.
Yeah, you were definitely the only one on stream that got it. Like, I don't know if anybody off stream got it, of course, but...
And the other sword that you're missing was on blind, so definitely makes sense to not have gone there. But our other runners did end up going through and fighting blind.
Yeah, I went into Thieves Town, but I never full cleared it, so I would have had tempered if I full cleared it.
I only full cleared it because I had blue cane.
Yeah. Yeah, that blue cane was actually pretty helpfully located for clearing Thieves Town as early as some of you did. Regardless, I think it's about time we start wrapping things up here.
Yep, sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks for coming in to chat with us, everybody, and
Thanks.
GG to all of you.
Thanks for
good.
commenting.
Yeah, good game, all of you. Thank you for being willing to be put up for a restream here.
Thanks.
No problem.
And for those of you watching, want to see more randomizer, there should be another daily race in just a few hours. Key Sanity, I think, is what we were told.
Yeah, it was. It's Key Sanity at 8 p.m. EST, or in other words, in about at this. Oh yeah, 3 hours from now.
Yeah, so 3 hours, 20 minutes ish. And again, if you enjoyed the race stuff today, be sure to give our runners a follow. Very, very kind of them to let us restream them here. And thank you all so much for watching.
Yeah, and I'd like to take a quick moment to give a quick shout out to our upcoming Speed Gaming Key Sanity tournament. It's going to be starting near the end of the month, and sign-ups are open to basically everybody who wants to join, as far as I'm aware. Gonna be fun.
I'm so excited. A whole Key Sanity tournament. That is fantastic.
Yeah. And of course, there's also going to be a Link to the Past No Major Glitches tournament starting later this year. Also, definitely something worth keeping an eye out for if you care about Link to the Past. And I could have sworn it was a boss command. Oh, whatever. That is definitely a tournament coming up, though. I think the boss command might be gone because it isn't open to sign-ups anymore, but it's definitely something to keep an eye out for later this year. And of course, starting this weekend, we'll have the Games Done Quick Marathon, which will have a Link to the Past randomizer featured as one of the runs during it, so that'll be something to keep an eye out for as well. Ooh. And that about covers it. I've been the Dude, and it's been a pleasure, everybody.
And I'm Basley, heading off. Have a good day, everyone.
And I actually nearly forgot something. I'd also like to quickly thank Recitador and Final Flame for doing our tracking today.
Yes, amazing tracking. Very well done.
And goodbye, everybody.
Bye.